Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world obsessed with overnight success. We often hear stories of people making millions in a year, going viral in a day, or transforming their lives in an instant. But what we don't hear enough about are the small, quiet steps taken daily, the real foundation of long-term success. That's why today I want to talk about something powerful, simple, and life-changing, improving yourself by just 1% every single day. You might think 1% is too small to matter, but let me show you how wrong that thinking is. If you get just 1% better each day at the end of 1 year, you'll be 37 times better than when you started. That's not magic, that's compound growth, a principle used by the most successful people in every field, from athletes to entrepreneurs to artists. Improving by 1% doesn't mean taking massive leaps. It means reading one more page, waking up 10 minutes earlier, replacing one bad habit with a good one, practicing gratitude once a day, saying no to one distraction. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about showing up consistently, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it. Because when you compound small wins every day, they lead to big changes. So I urge you, don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for motivation, just aim to be 1% better today than you were yesterday. When we think of success, we often imagine giant leaps, dramatic transformations, big wins, and overnight changes. But in reality, lasting success is rarely the result of one massive effort. It is almost always built on a foundation of small, consistent actions taken over time. This is where the concept of improving just 1% every day becomes so powerful. Think about it. 1% might seem like nothing. It's barely noticeable. If you ran for 10 minutes today, tomorrow you'd just run for 10 minutes and 6 seconds. If you read 5 pages today, tomorrow you'd read 5 pages and just a paragraph more. These changes are so small they feel insignificant, even invisible. But that's the beauty of it. When you commit to improving just 1% every day, something incredible begins to happen. The power of compound growth kicks in. This is the same principle that grows wealth in a bank account over time, but instead of money, you're growing skills, mindset, discipline, health, and self-belief. After a week, your progress may still seem small. But over a month, it starts to show. Over a year, it becomes remarkable, and over a few years, it becomes nearly unstoppable. Most people fail not because they aim too low, but because they chase too much too quickly. They try to change everything at once, going from 0 to 100 overnight. And when they fail to keep up that pace, they burn out, feel defeated, and give up. But when you commit to just getting a little bit better, just 1%, you create a journey that is not only sustainable but deeply transformative. These small daily improvements could be as simple as learning a new word in a different language, replacing one sugary drink with water, writing a single paragraph in your journal, or even just sitting in silence and reflecting for 5 minutes. Each of these acts may seem too small to matter on their own, but repeated every day, they build momentum, they sharpen your focus, they change your habits, and they quietly shape a better, stronger, wiser version of you. Small changes are also easier to control, less intimidating, and far more realistic to stick with. You don't need to uproot your life or break your back trying to transform overnight. You just need to commit to showing up daily with intention and ask yourself a simple question. How can I get just a little better today than I was yesterday? It's this mindset that separates those who talk about change from those who actually live it. It's not the big gestures or once and a while effort that determine your growth, it's what you do daily. That 1% is the difference between standing still and moving forward. And when you keep moving forward, even slowly, you are rewriting your future with every small action you take. Because success isn't found in the huge moments, it's hidden in the small decisions, the quiet hours, the daily disciplines that no one else sees. Those moments might not feel heroic, but they are. One of the most powerful truths about the 1% growth philosophy is that it is for everyone. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, how much money you have, or how educated you are. You don't need a perfect background, an expensive coach, or a flawless plan. All you need is the will to get a little better today than you were yesterday, and that is something everyone is capable of. In a world filled with unrealistic expectations and social pressure to be instantly successful, many people feel overwhelmed before they even begin. They look at their goals, whether it's building a business, improving their health, learning a skill, or changing their lifestyle, and feel crushed by the distance between where they are and where they want to be. But when you break down that intimidating journey into a 1% improvement each day, the pressure drops. The impossible becomes possible. 1% growth doesn't require you to turn your life upside down. It doesn't ask for 10 hours of work a day or some radical transformation. It asks for just one thing, showing up daily with a willingness to grow, even a little. That could mean waking up 15 minutes earlier, listening to one inspiring podcast, reading one page of a book, taking one small walk, eating one healthier meal, or making one smart decision. These aren't grand acts, but they are doable for everyone. And when you realize that 1% growth is achievable no matter your circumstances, you unlock a deeper kind of self-belief. You no longer compare your journey to someone else's highlight reel. You stop worrying about how far you have to go and start focusing on what you can do today. That shift in focus, from outcomes to actions, is what sets achievers apart from dreamers. This kind of mindset is especially liberating for people who feel stuck or discouraged. It gives you permission to start from exactly where you are, with exactly what you have. You don't need to be in perfect shape to go for a 5-minute jog. You don't need to be fluent to learn one sentence in a new language. You don't need to be confident to speak up once a day. Every small step forward becomes a silent vote in favor of your potential. And perhaps the most beautiful part of it all is this: you don't have to wait. You don't need New Year's resolutions, a new job, or external validation. You can begin your 1% growth right now, today, this very moment. Improvement is not something reserved for the lucky or the privileged. It's a right you earn by deciding to get better, just a little bit, every single day, because growth isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional, and when you live with that kind of intention, your progress may be quiet at first, but it will become undeniable with time. In our fast-paced world, we are constantly bombarded with the idea that we need to go all in to succeed, hustle harder, push longer, sacrifice everything. But here's the truth most people miss. It's not intensity that creates real, lasting change, it's consistency. Doing something once with passion is easy. Anyone can go to the gym and have one intense workout. Anyone can write a page or meditate for 30 minutes once. But the people who transform their lives are the ones who show up every day, even when it's boring, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one's watching. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on discipline. They understand the power of repetition. Improving yourself 1% daily is not about going hard, it's about not stopping. It's about forming habits that serve you even on your worst days. If you want to become stronger, more focused, more successful, it's not going to happen by doing one big thing once. It happens through small, repeated efforts. Consistency builds trust not just with others, but with yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you're casting a vote for the kind of person you're becoming. You're saying, I show up for me. And the more often you do that, the stronger your identity becomes. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who reads every day, someone who eats mindfully, someone who grows, someone who finishes what they start. Intensity burns bright but fades fast. Consistency, though less glamorous, builds empires one brick, one action, one choice at a time. Even if your effort is small, as long as it's repeated, it compounds. A 5-minute journal written daily becomes a book of wisdom. 10 minutes of learning each day turns into hundreds of hours of growth in a year. One daily act of discipline can reshape your entire mindset. Consistency also teaches patience. You learn to trust the process. You stop chasing instant results and start respecting long-term gains. You become more resilient, more grounded, and more focused, not because life gets easier, but because you've trained yourself to endure and to evolve little by little. This is the secret of those who rise from average to great. They didn't have more talent. They didn't get lucky. They just kept going. They showed up on the days they didn't feel like it. They stuck to their small improvements, even when it seemed like nothing was changing. And, in the end, perfection is one of the biggest traps in personal growth. So many people wait for the perfect plan, the perfect time, the perfect mood, the perfect version of themselves, and in doing so, they end up doing nothing. They stay stuck, frozen by fear and held back by unrealistic expectations. But the truth is this: you don't need to be perfect, you just need to make progress. When you focus on perfection, you become afraid to make mistakes. You start overanalyzing every step. You fear failure so much that you don't even begin. But when you shift your mindset and aim for progress, not perfection, everything changes. You give yourself permission to try, to grow, to improve. You understand that taking action, even if it's messy or imperfect, is always better than doing nothing at all. Progress means you're moving forward even if it's slow, even if it's uneven, even if you stumble along the way. It means you're learning, you're stretching, you're becoming, and each step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to the person you're meant to be. Perfection is a myth. No one ever achieves it. The most successful people in the world, the ones we admire for their discipline, brilliance, or courage, they didn't start perfect. They started scared, they started confused, they started unsure. But they started, and then they kept going. Progress allows you to celebrate your journey. You begin to notice how far you've come instead of constantly punishing yourself for not being there yet. You see growth in your mindset, your habits, your reactions, and your ability to bounce back. You stop criticizing yourself for being a work in progress, and you start appreciating yourself for being someone who shows up. Even on your worst days, you can make progress. Maybe you don't have the energy to give 100%, but you can give 30%. That still counts. Maybe your focus is off, but you still read one page. Maybe you didn't run 5 miles, but you still went for a walk. That's progress, that's momentum, that's what compounds, and here's what most people miss. Progress leads to motivation, not the other way around. You don't wait to feel good, you start moving, and the movement creates energy. That energy creates belief. That belief creates results. So let go of the pressure to be perfect. Let go of the idea that you need to have it all figured out. You don't. You just need to be a little better than you were yesterday. That's it. That's where your power is. That's where your confidence builds. And that's where your transformation begins. One of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is that change has to be complicated. That growth must be painful, overwhelming, and dramatic. But the truth is, the smallest actions done consistently have the power to completely transform your life. You don't need a 10-step plan, a gym full of equipment, or a perfectly structured routine to get better. What you need is to take one small action, something so simple that it almost feels too easy, and then repeat it, because it's not about how big your effort is, it's about whether you're moving forward. Simple actions like drinking a glass of water in the morning, writing down one goal per day, saying no to one distraction, turning your phone off for 30 minutes, going to bed just 15 minutes earlier, reading one page of a book before you sleep, taking a deep breath before reacting in anger. These actions take only seconds or minutes, yet their impact is far greater than we realize, especially when repeated over time. They build new habits. They shift your mindset. They tell your brain, this is who I'm becoming. The reason simple actions work so well is because they are doable. You don't need motivation to do them. You don't need a dramatic life shift. You just need to start, and that's where most people fail. They aim too high, get overwhelmed, and then quit. But when you start small, you remove resistance. You make it easy to win. Simple actions also eliminate excuses. You don't need a perfect environment, more money, or extra time. You can do them anywhere, anytime, with whatever you already have. That's the real power. You take control of your growth instead of waiting for the perfect moment, and over time, these tiny actions become habits. Habits shape your behavior. Behavior creates your identity, and identity becomes your destiny. You may not notice the effect after a day or even a week, but stay with it, because with every repetition, your brain wires itself for change, your standards rise, your self-respect increases. Your confidence grows, not because you did something huge, but because you honored your commitment to yourself again and again. Remember, the journey to greatness doesn't start with a giant leap. It starts with one small step in the right direction. One step you can take today, right now, and another tomorrow, and another after that. Motivation is one of the most misunderstood concepts in personal development. People wait for it like it's some magical burst of energy that will suddenly push them into action. But here's the truth: motivation is unreliable, it's fleeting, it comes and goes like a mood, and if you depend on it to improve your life, you'll always be stuck at the starting line. The most successful people in the world don't rely on motivation, they rely on systems. A system is a set of daily habits, routines, and behaviors that work regardless of how you feel. It's the structure that keeps you moving forward when motivation disappears. Because let's be honest, there will be days when you're tired, unmotivated, distracted, frustrated, or uninspired. On those days, if you have no system, you do nothing. But if you have a system, you still show up. A system doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, the best systems are simple and repeatable. For example, waking up at the same time every day, setting a timer to read or study for 20 minutes, planning your day the night before, journaling for 5 minutes in the morning, exercising at a specific hour, no matter the mood. These systems become part of your identity. You stop thinking about whether you feel like it, because it's just what you do now. Motivation asks, do I want to? A system says, this is what I do. And here's the powerful part. Once your system is in place, you begin to experience consistency without stress. You no longer have to convince yourself to take action. You remove decision fatigue, you remove doubt, you gain momentum. Motivation is emotional, systems are mechanical. And when you automate your improvement even in the smallest ways, you eliminate the greatest enemy of success, inconsistency. This is why people who rely on motivation burn out. They sprint, crash, and disappear. But people with systems, they last, they evolve, they grow, because they're not powered by hype, they're powered by structure. Systems create freedom. They allow you to grow without constantly battling yourself. They give you space to live your life and still improve every single day by 1%, step by step. Every action you take, every decision you make today, no matter how small, is casting a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. The truth is, your future isn't something that just happens to you. It is something you are creating with every single choice you make right now. Most people drift through life waiting for change. They hope that one day things will magically get better, that they'll be healthier, more successful, more confident, more fulfilled. But the reality is that your future is not built in the future, it is built in the present. In the small, repeated moments that often feel ordinary or unimportant. When you choose to improve yourself by just 1% today, to wake up on time, to resist that temptation, to learn something new, to take care of your body, to be kind when it's hard, you are making an investment in your future self. And just like money compounds over time, so does your effort, your mindset, and your character. Think of your life like a long road. Every decision is a step in a certain direction. If you take one step to the left today, it doesn't look like a big deal. But if you take that same step every day, 5 years from now, you'll be miles away from where you would have been had you stayed on your current path. Small shifts now create massive outcomes later. That means the life you want, the version of you that's strong, focused, peaceful, confident, and successful, is not waiting somewhere far away. That version is built by the you who shows up today. That version is shaped by your daily habits, your mindset, and your willingness to grow even when it's uncomfortable. And here's something even deeper. When you take responsibility for your future, you take back your power. You stop blaming your past, you stop making excuses, you stop waiting, you realize that you are not a victim of your circumstances, you are the author of your story. Yes, the road may be long, yes, it might take time, but every small, intentional action you take is pushing the needle forward. Every day that you choose progress over comfort, discipline over distraction, growth over excuses, you're building a future that your present self can barely imagine. Because your future self isn't some distant stranger, it's you a little further down the road, shaped by the actions you took today, tomorrow, and the next day.